Hi, Amanda. How you doing? Okay, so I've got the work up, and I want to look at it, but I want to look at your writing here. It says that you're missing the photo credit because you're currently in the process of touching up and editing the photo. That probably shouldn't matter with the photo credit because you really, I mean, just it's so easy just to include those. And I really want you to get in the habit of just zipping over and grabbing that credit and putting it in APA format. Um, it just get used to it because it will be so much easier, and I'm not even kidding, it'll be so much easier if you get used to it now for the rest of your career, because you'll have to be doing this for the rest for the rest of your life. So well, for the rest of your career. So really want to get in the habit of getting those credits down before you even really start. Okay, back to my little lecture. All right, Amanda, let's take a look at the work, okay? Okay, I think the piece has got a genre in mind, and I think that what we're looking at here is very reminiscent of a gaming magazine. And I don't know if that's what we're looking at. Now, I got some issues with this information, with information alone, which I'm going to talk about all of this in the whole thing. I've been looking at this for about 10 minutes now and compiling my thoughts and stuff so I can get you a nice complete critique. So let's start with the image. Image is too big and it's too demanding, and it's also looks like it possibly could be a low resolution image. I am going to zoom in here a little bit, but yeah, that's a low res image. You can see by all the pixelation right here. And it could just be the PDF rendering, so make sure you check, but you do not. Two things you don't want to do in this final low resolution image and placeholder text. Both of those things will take this piece right out of the running for inclusion in your final student portfolio. So the image itself, supposing it is a high resolution image, I think it's too big. I think the image is too big and it just commands too much attention. It's the first thing I looked at is this when I opened your spread. First thing I looked at is the image, and I kept looking at the image. And then I looked at this thing, and I looked at this in relationship with the image. And then I kind of wandered over here for a second and looked at the headline, and then I just went back to the image. So it's just commanding too much attention. And I think the scale of the image is one thing. It's too big. It's encroaching onto this page, and it's just commanding so much attention. So I would visit that decision. Okay, now supposing it's a high resolution, you do want to use the image and you make it smaller. Okay, great. So next thing I want to address is the attributes in the image that can be used in your title. Okay, see these circles right here? Why don't we just take that circle, not duplicate it, but follow that and use a circle for the drop cap. It's the same color. It doesn't have to be the same as long as it's another. If that's the O for that typeface you're using, that's great. So what? Go find another O. From a Geometric Sans that is a circle, Futura, Gill Sans. Well, one of those will have a perfect circle for an O. They'll really make a nice continuation. Okay, a headline, you want to use this rule, but there's no reason to use this rule. Psychologically, this rule is keeping this guy grounded. He looks like he wants to be a superhero. Looks like he wants to pop up and spring into action, but you're keeping him in jail by putting this rule here and not letting him out. So he's not able to interact with the outside world because he's in jail. Okay. Also, you've got this. You've decided to use this and connect it to the M. And I think right now, as we're learning typography, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we should just leave letter forms alone right now. Okay, and then also one thing that you did here is you placed the 2 up there for the face number. That's called a folio. And you wouldn't normally find a folio that is associated with the actual type for an article. Folios are listed at the same place every day and every page and on the same style. So you would have the number, the issue number, the magazine. Then you'd have the magazine, the issue number, and then the page number, symmetrically in reverse. So they're symmetrical. In each lower corner, typically is where you'll find a folio. This pull quote is a good idea. However, this pull quote is not a pull quote. It's actually just a little typographic thing that you put quotes around and stuck it up here. It doesn't work with the image. It's randomly placed. It doesn't have any association with the text, any area of the text, or the headline. Okay, so let's look at typography. Your typography is set pretty good. Here's your center line I've drawn. You're too close to the gutter here, that center fold, because when you fold that page, that type right there is going to get lost in the fold. So you want to give yourself a good margin away from those gutters. Good idea is to keep your margins equal. That would equal that margin right there at both sides. Okay, good 2-column grid, excellent there. Typeset is very good. You've done a wonderful job typesetting your justified settings to get rid of those rivers and spaces. However, you do have some varying typographic color based on just a couple of spaces. There's one, there's one, there's one, there's a huge one. Whoops, there's a huge one, and that, and then you've got some spacing issues here. Got some. There's one. There's one. There's one. Okay, so those will need to be adjusted. This is in italic, and as you read through this week's chapter and this week's materials, you'll see that you don't want to set type in italic for more than 2 or 3 paragraphs. It's a way to draw attention or to draw emphasis, but it's not a way to set type. So it gets really difficult reading italicized type after about 5-6 lines. It gets really, really difficult and becomes very tiresome on the eyes. Okay, space between paragraphs, excellent. Good typesetting, nice baseline alignment. Really, really, that looks good. I'm not sure about the typographic color. I think that it's just hard to tell with that italic. So I guess it's okay because it looks pretty good over here. Okay, your space between paragraphs might be a little bit too large based on the spaces in between your type lines. You might want to reduce that. Let's talk about the headline. The headline, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's really, really super boring. Pull quote. What you want to do with your pull quote is take that whole quote right there and just drop it right in the middle. Okay, here, let me show you something real quick. I'm just going to do a quick. I'm going to do a quick pull quote design. Let's take a look at pull quote design, and we'll go over here to images, and we'll see how pull quotes are typically. See how they go typically right in the middle of the text somewhere. There's one. That never would be off on their own somewhere, although I don't know where that would be, but that's how a pull quote works. It fits in the type. It breaks up the type, breaks up the monotony, gives the reader a place to rest psychologically as well as visually, and creates a nice piece of information that you can highlight. Okay, but it wouldn't be sitting in a box all by itself over anywhere, or you know what I'm saying? The headline itself. I'm going to look at something. I just want to show you something else I do a lot of research, obviously. I think that you guys are finding that out now. I'm just looking at this. I just said typographic magazine article titles. And I'm looking at this. I think this is nice, and I can see something like that. Where did yours? Oh, there's yours. I can see something like that. I'm not saying use a script. I'm not saying using that feminine. This is nice. Okay, so this is nice. So what I'm pointing at here are these little typographic compositions. Okay. And we see these here's a really interesting one. We see these really interesting typographic compositions as headlines. Okay, so here's the headline, subhead, drop cap, article. And you're going to see that formula over and over and over and over and over again because it's been working for so many years, for so long. It's an excellent formula. Title composition, subhead, byline, drop cap, text. So I want you to think about that, and then so I would really like to see a nice typographic composition over here. Reduce that size and work on that relationship there between the typographic composition, byline, subhead, the start of your type, drop cap in there, reduce that guy, pull quote over here, and I think that that's One more thing I want to mention. This, again, now when you reduce this, it probably won't come into play, but it looks like you've got this shoulder over here, and you have not text wrapped. It just looks like you've hit return when you're trying to fit the type in here. You can text wrap this. Just do some research in InDesign and see how to text wrap. Also, you can also draw a shape to text wrap. So in other words, if this isn't working, you could draw a shape that would, like a circle, like a circle there, and then a circle there, just to use for his arm and his shoulder. And then you could use that as a no stroke, no fill shape, and use that to use your text wrap. A lot of times I do that just to accentuate the to emphasize the shape of the relationship that this will have with the object. So it would go like this. I would make it more, not that much, but instead of this slight curve, I would make it, like that, and then I would make it like that, just to fit around the arm. Okay, that's all I have. I'm sorry I've taken so long. I just looked at the clock. So sorry about that. If you have any questions, please give me a holler. Thank you.